Jason kicks it up. It is good. Jacksonville is going to win their first game of the year.
Touchdown Patriots! Kicked off with a diving interception at midfield.
Well, that tells it all right there. The picture, 68 degrees, very little breeze here in Foxborough today. Kevin Harlan alongside Rich Gannon. Well, Rich, the Patriots are everybody's biggest game of the season, and that's certainly the case today for the Jaguars.
Yeah, Kevin, we know the Patriots are used to getting everybody's best effort, and for Jacksonville, I think it's a chance to measure yourself against the best that football has to offer right now. And trust me, in visiting with them last night, they are not at all intimidated. They realize this is a great opportunity for them on the road against the defending Super Bowl champs.
As we look through the musket smoke, there was Gus Bradley, and deep back is Corey Grant. The Patriots won the toss. They have elected to defer. Stephen Gostkowski on the brink of some history himself today with points after touchdowns, some extra points. We'll talk about that later. Here come the Pats against the Jaguars in Foxborough on CBS and Grant. We'll bring it out. Grissom will bring him down. 16-yard return, which takes us to quarterback Blake Bortles, who makes his 16th career start today for Jacksonville.
Really important that Blake Bortles gets off to a smooth start. You know, he suffered through some growing pains last season as a rookie. You mentioned Kevin started 13 games. And I think he showed he has the intangibles to lead this team, and they feel he has a bright future.
Two tight ends set. It's first down and 10 yards to go for Jacksonville from their 16. Fake to Yeldon. He's looking for Harbor. Ninkovich is on the move, and a jump ball incomplete. They want to do a lot of those. McCourty was right on the talented young receiver Allen Robinson.
Well, he's going to have to be careful. Robinson's going to run the out and up, but the quarterback never feels the safety, and the safety is reading the eyes of Blake Bortles the whole way. You look at McCourty, he gets a great jump, and he should make this interception. Actually, the corner and the safety run into each other. Blake Bortles very fortunate out of the gate.
We're going to try a lot of those 50-50 balls to Robinson. Second down and 10. Justin Coleman has come in as an extra defensive back, and here is Yeldon out of Alabama and trying to find some space. Bottled up in the middle. Picks up a gain of 2. Selingo was in there, and this is the line for the Jaguars. Big and strong. They love second-year Brandon Linder, who's got a bad shoulder and also a bad knee, but he's the best of that group right there. And then when they go deep, as we just saw, they're going to go for Allen Robinson. He's coming off a wonderful 6-reception, 155-yard performance last week against the Miami Dolphins. 3rd and 9. And they have 6 in the secondary for the Pats. They're going at Young. It's a cross with a double team of Coleman along with McCourty on Robinson. They are smothering him. It's 3 and out. Jacksonville has got a punt in their first possession.
And I'm really surprised Kevin decides to throw the ball in the direction of Allen Robinson. He's double teamed. And if he's doubled, there's got to be a single somewhere else. Not a good start for Jacksonville. It was 3 and outs. It was a problem last week in the second half against Miami.
Amendola awaits the kick from Brian Anger. Career gross of 47 yards. A terrific punter. Been there a long time. They drafted him. Amendola looks into that bright New England sun from the 27-yard line. Comes into his own blocker, Dakota Watson. Gets it out to the 36, where he's brought down after a 9-yard gain. Here is Tom Brady, who's doing it all for the Patriots at the age of 38.
You know, it's amazing to think this guy can get even better, but that's what he feels like. Red hot the last 2 weeks. 69% of his throws, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's averaging over 375 yards a game passing, including the 466 he had last week against the Buffalo Bills.
3 wide. Patriots have 3 tight ends up. Manawanui is down today. Amendola's in motion. Brady with the 1st and 10. Blocking is there. Off to Lewis. There's a block by Andrews and fought off well with a nice tackle made across the way by the terrific Telvin Smith, the leading tackler, with a gain of 3. There's Andrews. We just talked about him. Stork is down. Wendell is out. Andrews is third consecutive start, the rookie free agent from Georgia. And Julian Edelman has had 2 consecutive 11 reception, 97-yard games. He's been terrific. Second down and 7. Shaq Mason starting today too. Gronkowski grabbed by Posluszny. First down, diving to the 49. Picks up 10. They move the chains. And here on the offense, the Patriots move. For the Jacksonville defense, the former Dolphins starter Odrick played well against his former team last week. Belichick with a lot of praise for the linebacker Posluszny. Sergio Brown, the former Patriot, is the most consistent guy in the defensive backfield for Jacksonville. It's first down and 10 from the 49.
You back? Hey, read it.
Into the nickel. Tom Brady first and 10. Gronkowski's wide open. Galloping free inside the 10. Brought down by Evans. A catch and run of 43. First and goal to go, New England.
Well, much different approach defensively this week. A team that plays a whole lot more zone coverage than they saw last week from the Buffalo Bills. And Gronk just works right down the middle of the field between the linebacker and the safety. Another terrific throw from Tom Brady.
3 wide, but the tight end atop your screen there. Gronkowski first and goal at the 8. And they got a matchup with the cornerback, and they go outside. Gronkowski went into the end zone. That ball went out at about the 2. It's second and goal, and Gronkowski, you see him point to himself. He had the wrong route there, Rich.
Yeah, Tom Brady was anticipating him stopping, kind of a back shoulder throw. And you got a sense, Kevin, in visiting with the Patriots on Friday, there's a sense of uneasiness with this team because of this defense that they're facing today is almost entirely different than what they saw last week in Buffalo. Buffalo played so much man-to-man coverage, so much pressure. They're going to be patient against all the zones they'll see from Jacksonville today.
Yeah, a lot of blitzing. Here's a second down and goal for Brady. Gronkowski is in tight. A timeout taken by Brady. Gronkowski was in tight that time, and that's the first timeout used by the Pets and quarterback Tom Brady. 399 touchdown passes. You just saw it. If he gets one more, number 400, he'll be the 4th quarterback ever to reach that number. And how about Gronkowski, Rich? He also is approaching some very historic numbers. Needs 1 touchdown reception or run, and he's had a run as a touchdown maker to reach 60 for his career, but he'd be the fastest tight end ever to reach that number.
And a lot of it happens down here, Kevin, in this part of the field. Most red zone touchdowns since 2011, tied with Jimmy Graham with 36, and of course the highest percentage of the team's red zone targets, 33%, almost a third of the time. Tom Brady's looking for number 87.
Usually they have that 4 tight end alignment. No team in the NFL has run more 4 tight end than New England. But as we mentioned before, their 4th tight end is inactive. So second down and goal from the 8 here after the timeout.
Hey, alert!
Yeah.
51!
Pointing out the middle linebacker, Posluszny. Dion Lewis, good block by Ballmer. Good block by Gronkowski. He'll walk in as Gronk hooked his defender with a terrific block and opens the door. 8-yard touchdown run, Dion Lewis.
Boy, Dion Lewis has really played well for the Patriots this year. What happens sometimes is he's such a smaller back that he gets lost behind that offensive line. Good and freeze it right there. He can go either way. And what happens is he overrun it and he winds up going backdoor on you. I think his ability to slide, cut, and keep his balance. He is a tough tackle in the open field.
He's played for Philly and Cleveland and Indy, and he's been injured the last couple of years. Here comes Gostkowski now with the extra point where he's perfect this year and stays that way, and 7-0 New England's on top. Just a little more than 3 minutes gone. Gronkowski had a catch and run of 43. Then the shifty Dion Lewis slashing in 8 yards away for the Pats. There's a look at Dion Lewis, who until he was with Norv Turner in Cleveland, when Turner was the offensive coordinator, really didn't think of himself as a third down back, but Rich, that's been his calling card since he's become a Patriot this year.
Well, he's gotten off to a terrific start. He really found a home in this offense. He accounted for 258 yards of offense the first 2 weeks. Been a real weapon for Brady, not only running it, but catching it out of the backfield.
With a look at Dion Lewis, who played at Pitt You see the numbers from the past. He's missed the last couple of years, getting back from a broken leg, and a lot of people weren't after him except the Patriots.
Well, and he's given them position versatility. I mean, they move him all over the place, Kevin. He's in the backfield. He plays in the slot. They move him out wide. He ran a go route last week against a linebacker. And Ivan Fears to his left, a longtime running backs coach here in New England. He's great when it comes to teaching and developing young talent at the running back position.
Over the tight end in motion, first down and 10 after the touchback, and a nice tackle made there by Jamie Collins. Came through, knocks down the rookie out of Alabama. That is a gain of 3, and he's out to the 23-yard line. Chandler Jones last week, 3 sacks. That was a career high. And that was coupled with Jamie Collins. He just made that last stop. Boy, what a terrific player. He had 2.5 sacks. That was a career high for him. And in the secondary, the #1 cornerback now is Malcolm Butler. As we mentioned last week, they've got some big-name players that are gone, namely Revis and Browner and Arrington. So they're revamping their secondary. Second down and 7 for Blake Bortles. With Nick Jacobs, the tight end, on the move. 1 of 2 out there for the Jags. Bortles, and his first completion is outside, and Allen Robinson gets it right in front of Malcolm Butler. Takes the ball to the 30-yard line. Picks up 7 yards on the play. Close to a first down.
We talk about strategy for Jacksonville. I think the best way to slow down Tom Brady is to keep him off the field, and they can do that by running the football. New England's 28th in run defense and last in yards per attempt at 5.7. D'Angelo Williams got after him week 1 for 127 yards. Kevin, we saw LaShawn McCoy bust off some big runs last week, and they've got a young back that they really like in T.J. Yeldon. He needs to be busy in this one.
Pats again with 4 in their secondary. First down and 10. Yeldon trying to go inside. Nothing there. Collins was the last one to get in there, but Jabal Sheard got him low. There's no gain on the play, and Yeldon sticks at the 30-yard line.
And you just know that the run defense has been a point of emphasis all week in practice for the Patriots. They know they need to improve in this area. Giving up 147 yards a game on the ground, also allowing the highest yards per carry on first down, 6.7. And Patricia told us a lot of extra work on the run defense this week in practice.
Good to see Dominique Easley back on that defensive line. Hip injury against Pittsburgh. Back in there. Did not play last week. Second down and 10. Here comes Ninkovich. And Bortles tried to flip it away. Couldn't get it off to Lee. Incomplete. Ninkovich coming through. Well, last week, the offensive line did not allow a sack in 33 dropbacks. It's the first game that Jacksonville has not allowed a sack since October 2013.
Well, just check out Coleman as he comes down. He's going to light up Marquise Lee across, and that really affects the timing and the rhythm of the passing game, and then the rush gets home.
Matt Patricia dials up a lot of good stuff on defense.
He told us this week they need to be patient at the line of scrimmage. They had some separation last week, and their fits playing the run against Buffalo.
Pats have 5 in the secondary. 3rd and 10. Bortles. He's got his receiver. That's Harbor, the tight end. Banged on the play by Harmon. They're in the Patriot territory at the 44. A 26-yard catch and the first completion to a tight end this year.
Finally, we talked to Blake Bortles about it last night. He said we've had plenty in the game plan designed to get the ball down the middle of the field to the tight ends. It hasn't worked out for whatever reason. But, you know, life's too difficult if you can't feature the tight ends in the offense, and they've got a couple good ones. Julius Thomas not playing, but Mercedes Lewis is a former Pro Bowler as well.
Big completion by Bortles. T.J. Yeldon got a block with the flag thrown. They ran over Linder, and it's a gain of 4. Looks like Collins bottom of the pile.
Holding, number 65, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That's Linder. Bad knee, bad left shoulder. Injured in practice on Wednesday, but he's the best one they got, they think, on that offensive line.
That's what happens, Kevin, when you miss practice time. You know, things happen a little bit quicker. You get a linebacker running through and you grab.
Now imagine as a quarterback, you miss a day, it's like you've missed a week. That timing,
oh my goodness,
rhythm is everything.
It really is. And I think this is one area where Blake Bortles has really improved. He has put a lot of time in this offseason to improve his footwork and his fundamentals within the system, and it shows.
He looks into the nickel here with a 1st and 20. Yeldon takes it right up the gut and down to the 46. Couple there making the stop, including Freeney with a burst of 8 for T.J. Yeldon, the 4th all-time leading rusher at Alabama.
He's a good-looking back, Kevin. He's quick to the hole. He runs with good vision. He hit that cutback lane. He's got good speed to to break off long runs.
Rich, he has a heavy workload. They give him the ball a lot.
Yeah, they need to. And I think one of the things that they feel comfortable with in talking with offensive coordinator Greg Olson last night is his ability to stay in there on third down.
That's rare for a rookie, isn't it?
It really is. Just learning the protections, Kevin, and becoming proficient as a route runner out of the backfield.
5 in the secondary, 2nd and 12 for Blake Bortles. And that goes zipping past the tight end, Lewis, who is covered on the play by Jamie Collins.
I think the key for Jacksonville is just keeping those self-inflicted wounds to a minimum today versus the Patriots. The penalties, the misassignments, the mental errors, the turnovers. You can't do the things that get you beaten. Talking to Greg Olson last night, he said, we just got to go out and be aggressive, but be smart and play within our system.
Patriots lead in an 8-yard touchdown run by Dion Lewis. Jacksonville countering with a 26-yard pass to a tight end. Right now, 8th play of the drive, 3rd and 12. Into the nickel. Oh, he bobbled it. Got it. And is whacked. Collins got him. Sheard got him. 8 sacks last week against Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo. First sack right there. Loss of 6:48. They got a punt.
Well, he was hustling. What happened was he took a quick peek up at the play clock. The play clock was running down. It looks like Blake Bortles took a peek at the play clock, and Wisniewski snaps, and he just never got a clean grasp of it.
Is that the first thing you'd look at, Rich, when you broke the huddle? Was it
always check the play clock, Kevin, as you come out of the huddle. That thing was running down inside 3 seconds.
Anger to punt. Nice hide on this one. Again into that son, Amendola. At the 10, fair caught. Hang time of 5.1. 42-yard, well-placed hung punt. Second possession for the Pats. The militia ready here.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by Honda. The power of dreams.
Aerial coverage of today's game is provided by MetLife. At these beautiful scenics. Gillette Stadium. On the 10-yard line after an 8-and punt by Jacksonville. It's 1st and 10. This is Edelman. Quick and brought down by Telvin Smith along with Sergio Brown. It's a catch and run of 16 out to the 26 and a first down.
Well, we talk about the quick release of Brady. I mean, this is just simple. Fakes the quick handoff, just pops it out to Edelman and lets him do the rest. Jacksonville plays a lot of off coverage and gives you some free access throws.
Out of zone. Here goes the 1st and 10 throw outside. Lewis makes a miss. Look at his elusiveness. And finally, Leslie tracks him down at about the 31 with a gain of 5. What a find Lewis has been. What a find this guy was in the 6th round of the draft some 16 years ago.
How about that record? 43-1 at home since 2007 against AFC teams. 43-1, and the only loss was in Week 17 last year. We only played the first half. They rested the starters.
Handoff into the nickel. This is Lewis on 2nd down and 6, and he picks up 3. He's out to the 33-yard line with a look at Tom Brady. 4,000-yard throwing season last year against the Bills. Rich, he threw 59 times for 466 yards. Those are the second highest numbers in each category in his career.
And he made it look easy against a pretty good defense, Kevin, in Buffalo. The crowd noise, the pressures, just methodically and surgically just went after him. And it was fun to watch.
3rd down and 3. Hit him from behind, but he's got Edelman. And Edelman is upended on the play by Evans into Jacksonville territory at the 48. A catch and run of 19 by Julian Edelman.
Well, great look at Brady's eyes and his ability to step up in the pocket. He talks so much about his eyes, his location, his left side.
Back outside, Edelman on 1st and 10. Up into the play by Devon House, the former Packer, brings them down about the 42-yard line at Jacksonville with a quick gain of 7. Edelman already with 3 receptions in this game.
Targeted 19 times last week, and being an ex-quarterback, he really understands coverages and how teams are trying to defend him.
Brady with a 2nd down and 4. Lewis, big hole, corkscrews his way down to the 32 before House brings him down. Also some help from Colvin in the secondary. A burst of 10, a Patriot first down to the 32.
I thought it was really interesting what Tom Brady had to say on Friday. You know, he said, really, as a defense, you decide how you want to play us, and we have a plan to adjust. And you can see clearly they've done that this week against this Jacksonville defense.
Brady first and 10, brings it back, chased on the play by Jones and dumps it away. Yeah, big Avery Jones is out of Georgia, chasing him across the way. Incomplete.
I got a kick at him. He said, you know, never looking to run. You know, he said there's a big open window in front of him. He says some quarterbacks go, oh my goodness, look at all this green grass. I can run. He says, no, I think to myself, wow, what a great throwing lane. He's not looking to run.
I'd run though if a guy that big were chasing me, wouldn't you?
Well, he realizes what his strengths are, and he also realizes what his limitations are.
Second down and 10, Brady 7 of 9. Now 8 of 10. As a flag, Kozlowski brings down Amendola near the 20-yard line and a pickup of 12 right off the bat. Walt Coleman is our referee today.
Pass interference, number 87, offense. 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Ron Gronkowski. And they don't like it. You know, him being healthy, Rich, is everything to this offense.
Yeah, it really makes a world of difference. Just see him working on Devon House. Looks like he just pushes off there right before the...
He's not been healthy his whole career. It's well documented, the different injuries he's had. Elbow most recently. That's why he wears that big brace on that elbow. Second down and 20. Drive started back at the 10. It's Lewis. Big block by Mason. And then quickly filled in by Kozlowski. He used to play for Buffalo, went as a free agent a couple years ago to Jacksonville, limiting him to a gain of 3 to the 39. Belichick raved about Kozlowski.
Yeah, really a smart player, typical Penn State linebacker. He played in only 7 games last year before going on IR with that torn biceps, and their run defense wasn't nearly as good without him. Smart player, makes all the calls in the middle of that defense.
Third down 17. They need the 22.
How deep the linebackers are.
I know it. Brady wide open. Amendola. He makes house miss. And then he is forced out of bounds with a hit right there by Evans. Maybe shy of a first, but they do get into field goal range. A gain of 11.
Yeah, look how deep the linebackers are. Now here you know where you have to get for the first down, but they're content to give you the underneath throws and try and rally to make the tackle. The problem for me, Kevin, is that makes it a lot easier for Gostowski, the kicker. You're able to pick up 10 or 12 yards.
So Patriots took their first drive, 64 yards, and got an 8-yard touchdown run by Lewis. Here is a 46-yard field goal by Gostowski, who's made all 4 of them this year. Now he's 5 for 5, and it's 10-0. New England and 2:56 to go. Gostowski, a 46-yard field goal. Big plays to Edelman of 16 and 19. Then Stephen Gostkowski from 46. Your weekend starts with Thursday Night Football when Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers tough it out with Joe Flacco and the Baltimore Ravens. It's all on CBS and NFL Network. Well, Stephen Gostkowski just kicked a 46-yard field goal. He's from New York and holds up. That's pretty good, huh? Wow.
You're paying attention.
Gostkowski.
You're doing like 3 things at once. It's impressive.
Gostkowski, who just kicked a 46-yard field goal, his 14th consecutive field goal going back to last year. Sends it deep, and Grant Duane, the rookie free agent out of Auburn. Touchback, Brady and Belichick. What a combination. 2:56 in the first.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly. And by FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football.
Well, you go to Cape Cod, you get on that fishing boat, you go about 150 miles offshore, and you catch that out in the Atlantic. Our crew had some of that last night. One of our cameramen, Charles Hill, boiled it, cooked it, didn't know he could cook. First and 10, handoff, Bernard Pierce, the former Baltimore Raven, trying to work on the right side, and brought down by Jamie Collins. What a great start to the season Collins has had. It's a gain of 1 to the 21. Rich, we just saw Belichick talking to Brady over there on the sideline.
Yeah, Kevin, really, he leaves no stone unturned. He coaches every area of this football team. You watch him practice on Fridays. He's over there coaching special teams. You see him visiting with Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady. And you'll see him in between series. He'll go over there and he'll see something and he'll give him an alert or a heads up. And that's what makes him one of the best in the business.
Rookie Yeldon is in. Second down and 9 for Blake Bortles. And this is Bortles running outside. They kept talking about his athleticism to us at practice on Friday. Sure enough, we see it there. Butler brings him down after a gain of 2.
Well, he can and he will run with the football. He's able to make some plays with his feet, but really he just got nowhere to go here.
He did have, Rich, the highest rushing average among quarterbacks a season ago.
Yeah, he also last year had 7 runs of 20 yards or more, tied for second most among any quarterbacks in the league.
Well, it's always 3rd and long for this Jacksonville team today, huh? 3rd and 7. Into the nickel.
We've had a lot of 3rd and longs. 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12 already in the first quarter.
Bortles. And he was looking for Hurst, and that is a flag, and it's thrown on Logan Ryan. They were going for Hearns across the middle. He had 4 catches last week. And that should keep this alive for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Really was an uncatchable ball.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 26, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Ryan, a 3rd-round pick and 3 years out of Rutgers.
Well, you're going to see it right here. And basically, he's in pretty good position, but then he just grabs, and you see Hearns trying to get away from him. Turns out it wasn't really a catchable ball, but you can't grab him at the top of his stem.
Wednesday.
That's back to 4 in their secondary. It is a 1st and 10.
Green inside.
Bortles. Yeldon stiff arms his way into Ryan, and then Butler will rush him out of bounds across the way. He's up to the 33, and he picks up 5 on the play. Hey fans, replay every game of the 2015 season on demand with NFL Game Pass. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass to start your free trial now. 2nd down and 5.
Yeah, 91.
Touchdown run by the Pats of 8 yards, 46-yard field goal. They've scored both times they've had it. This is the 3rd possession for Jacksonville, 2nd and 5. Yeldon. He has the most carries of any rookie running back in the NFL, getting the block close to a 1st down. As is brought down by Silver Silinga at about the 38.
Well, I think the Patriots defensively, I think they're expecting a ball control type of game from Jacksonville. They're going to run it a bunch, and they're going to take some shots down the field. That's kind of their MO. And they've got some young receivers that can go get the football. Allen Hearns, Allen Robinson, Kevin, as you mentioned, he's averaging 26 yards a catch. At 7 catches, 7 targets already this season of 20 yards or more, which is the most in football.
And just that far away, about 3-4 lengths to go. Had a nice talk with Gus Bradley, the Jacksonville coach, last night. Always positive, always optimistic, and a lot of players want to play for him.
They do, and I loved what he said. He said, look, we have no fear. We have no doubt we can win and be at our best. And this is an unbelievable opportunity. We don't want to run from it. Rather, we want to embrace it. Players love playing for Gus Bradley.
Their offense last week against a pretty good Miami defense had just under 400 yards offense, most by a Jaguar offense since December of 2012. 3rd and 1, Bortles. With Toby Gerhart in the backfield and active today after missing a lot of camp, Bortles, the quarterback, takes it in, gets 3 in the 1st down.
And you can do this when your quarterback's 6'5" and 245 pounds. He's a big man. You know, there's a lot of comparisons to Ben Roethlisberger when Blake Bortles came out last year in the draft out of Central Florida.
Now their receivers don't have to look into that sun as the first quarter is coming to a close. A couple punts by Jacksonville on their first 2 possessions. This is their 3rd. The champions scored an 8-yard touchdown run by Lewis and a 46-yard field goal by Gostkowski at the end of 1. Here's a look at Greg Olsen. He's the play caller for the Jaguar offense.
5 plays, all runs in this drive, and they've got to find out about this Patriots defense. Can they stop the run, an area where they've really struggled the first 2 weeks?
Grant in the backfield. It is 1st and 10. The fake to Lee. It's off to Grant. He's got Linder ahead, and he's brought down from behind with a tackle made by Jordan Richards, the rookie out of Stanford. It is a gain of 8. They're up to the 48.
It's about illusion in disguise. You'll see the back come down. They run the fake reverse, and then they run the screen off of it. It really kind of slows down the pass rush a little bit. Initially, you thought maybe they'd throw the deep cross, but they kick it out to the back on the screen, out the back door. Greg Olsen has always been a very creative play caller when it comes to design and scheme.
Right,
he's had, you know, part of the problem that he's had, he's been in a lot of different places. It's always because he's got young quarterbacks, 1st and 2nd year quarterbacks that he's had to coach.
It's 2nd down and 2. Lee out of the backfield. Boy, there was a nice block by Parnell, the right tackle, which bought time and got the 13-yard gain for a first.
Well, check out this deal for Greg Olsen. I mean, in 2004 and 2005, Joey Harrington. 06 and 07, he's with Bolger. Freeman in Tampa Bay. He spent a year as a quarterback coach in Jacksonville in 2012 with Gabbert. Carr and Pryor in Oakland, and then Bortles. I mean, every one of those players, for the most part, Kevin, have been 1st and 2nd year players. That's kind of that's like a recipe for disaster for a football coach if you're always coaching up young guys. He hasn't really had the luxury of coaching up a veteran quarterback as an offensive coordinator.
Yeldon is in, 1st and 10. Sheared with the tackle. He's down to the 39. No gain on the play. Maybe a half yard at most, but that's about it for T.J. Yeldon. We talked to Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator for the Patriots, and he said jump cuts, vision, short space, elusiveness and quickness, all the things you want to see in a back.
And he has it, and I think he's also got some thickness to him. I mean, he's a guy that can run with power, and speaking of a guy that can run with power, we've got Toby Gerhardt in there now, who's out the first couple of weeks with an abdominal injury.
Yeah, got it August 14th, 2nd down and 10. Going deep and looking for Robinson. He's got the ball up on the chalk. Coverage by Jordan Richards, the rookie. And they were going for the 6'3" Robinson out of Penn State.
Well, they're looking for matchups, and they've got the one they want. They've got Allen Robinson on the rookie, and terrific effort here. He just can't get that left foot in bounds. That's what Jacksonville has to be willing to do. Take some shots down the field. Challenge these corners from New England.
You're talking about those 50-50 balls they want to throw.
That's what they want to do. And remember now, you know, the Patriots have had some struggles. Bradley Fletcher isn't inactive. Terrell Brown's not playing much. Malcolm Butler's a 2nd year player.
5 in the secondary, 3rd and 10. And he's got his receiver as Bortles slings it, caught by Hearns, brought down in the secondary by Ryan. It's a gain of 12 and a first down to the Patriot 28.
It's a really nice throw by Blake Bortles, protecting the receiver. He kind of tries to slow him up in the hole, knowing that the receiver has a safety out in front of him. That could have been a head-on collision.
91.
Hearns, who just caught that pass, undrafted, and is a rookie last year, had 51 catches. Here's the 11th play of the drive. Gerhardt is in. And the former Viking, who's out of Stanford, gets down to the 25 and picks up about 3. Salinga was there with the tackle on the defensive line for New England.
I like Toby Gerhardt. Kevin, I got a chance to see him a lot in Minnesota the preseason when he got a chance to play behind Adrian Peterson, but he was injured in the opener last year. He battled injuries all season. He's had the abdominal injury. He just got to stay healthy and stay on the field. He could be a nice change-up to what they have in the rookie, T.J. Yeldon.
Gerhardt's debut. He's out. Yeldon in. 2nd down, 7.
Double. Go.
Bortles. And almost intercepted by Butler at the 10. And they were going for Hearns once again. Incomplete. 3rd and 7.
Well, you got to be careful here. I think Blake Bortles gets fooled. He doesn't realize that this is too deep coverage, and the corner is going to trail. So you've got a situation where Malcolm Butler knows he has help over the top, and he's playing that inside cut. And that's a dangerous throw in this part of the field by Blake Bortles. The reason why Butler can do that is he knows he has help from the safety.
Butler had a pick last week. 3rd down and 7, looking into the nickel. Oh, knocked away. They got pressure. Ninkovich, as Gerhard picked it up. It was a or was it a fumble?
I think they might have called that a fumble.
Let's see.
It's a fumble.
Well, how interesting that, Rich, you would talk about that kind of play on this kind of field, or at least in this city, with Walt Coleman as the referee today.
Of all people, my guy, Walt Coleman, called the tuck rule game. I've never forgiven him that. You know, Walt Coleman has never officiated a Raiders game since that dreaded night back in
They're going to challenge
January 2002. But
yeah, now they're going to challenge it. That was a pass. Rich, his arm was going through, don't you think?
Yeah, it certainly looked like it.
Yeah, Coleman was the tuck rule official, right?
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I bet you do.
January 19th, 2002. That gentleman right there in the white hat. He was the official that called that tuck rule game.
New England is challenging the rule on the field of a fumble.
So when you send Coleman like a holiday card, I want to tuck you into a wonderful holiday season. Let's watch it again. The Patriots have challenged. That to me looks like a pass, and probably will be incomplete. 11-1 first half.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Fumble. First down for Jacksonville. New England will be charged with their second team timeout.
Let's quickly go to Mike Carey. Mike, what'd you think of the call?
Well, I think that what I see is the quarterback's grip never changes. His hand starts to come forward with clear control. Then the ball rolls out. Very, very tight. That's why on the field they ruled it stands. But if I was in the booth, I would have reversed this to an incomplete pass.
Coleman was talking with the NFL office in New York. They collaborated on the call. It is the 14th play of the drive. Thank you, Mike. It is a first down for Jacksonville at the 17 of the Patriots in their best-looking drive of the day. 5 defensive backs, Bortles. And he's got his receiver incomplete through the hands of the rookie free agent Grant. Running back with coverage on the play by Hightower among a couple.
Boy, they got the look that they wanted. Corey Grant. Good job by Bortles looking off the safety and not throwing a pretty good ball. You got to make that catch.
Yeah.
Got the matchup you want on Dante Hightower. And Bortles knows it.
Grant has not caught a pass yet. He's only had a rush coming into today. 2nd down and 10. Yeldon is in. With 2 tight ends, Yeldon, Harbor with the block, and a good-looking tackle made by Alan Branch. There's no gain on the play as Yeldon could not squirm away. They stay at the 17 of New England.
That's a terrific effort by Branch. You're going to see him right in the middle of your screen. It's a nice job taking on the guard, throwing him off, making a really nice unassisted tackle right in the hole.
Marquise Lee, by the way, not in. Hamstring strain. Questionable return. Walters taking his place. And now Hearns is pushing back Mercedes Lewis. 3rd down and 10. Yeldon at the side of Bortles. Into the nickel. Bortles flagged down. This is the big tight end and proving to be elusive. Mercedes Lewis takes it down to the 3 on a 14-yard catch and run on 3rd and 10.
Coming back.
Illegal formation in the offense. Went from illegal to legal. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Well, that drives you crazy as a head coach. Yeah, they just went again. No one was on the line. No one was on the line of scrimmage. Tight end never got back on the ball. See, the tight end's going to be off the line of scrimmage. You've got another receiver here. So you have a receiver back on the scrimmage, the line of scrimmage, on a legal formation.
Well, in this game, upcoming will be the 4th time the Jaguars have faced 3rd and 10 or longer. 3rd and 15 now. Drive started back at their 20. Yeldon in. They get through, and Bortles And looking for Hearns, and incomplete with the coverage by Harmon. And big-time pressure up the middle from Jamie Collins. It's 4th and 5th flag thrown on the play. 4th and 15 coming up. Let's see.
Number 65, offense.
Linder.
Penalties decline. 4th down.
That's the second on him.
Well, a great look at it from the end zone. You're going to see Linder, Kevin. We talked about not practicing. Watch him overstep this and then get beat back up inside. So he starts upfield and then lets Jabal Sheard go right back up underneath him. There's nothing else he can do but grab.
Here's the former Arena League kicker, Jason Myers, who had the game winner last week against the Dolphins. A 40-yarder right here to get on the board, and with ease he swings it through, and it's 10-3. So Jacksonville on a long drive gets 3, 9.5 to play in the first half from Foxborough on CBS. Week 3 continues later today on CBS, and for some of you on Fox. Then tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC, and tomorrow it's Monday Night Football on ESPN. You can also join Boomer Esiason and myself from Lambeau and Green Bay for the Chiefs and Packers on Westwood One. 17-play drive, and they had a couple chances, Rich, to get in.
Yeah, they really did, but you got to celebrate the good things, Kevin. 17 plays, had the ball for 8 minutes and 24 seconds, and that's what you need. The ball control offense. We talked about keeping Brady and that offense on the sidelines. When you get down in that scoring zone against the Patriots, you got to come away with touchdowns and not field goals.
Bortles now 5 of 13 on the afternoon. The ball is teed up by Jason Myers, who just had a 40-yard field goal for Jacksonville. Deep back is Danny Amendola. And he'll leave it in the end zone. 2 possessions, 2 scores for the Patriots, including an 8-yard touchdown run by Lewis. Here comes Brady. Here come the Pats offense. On top 10-3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the Lincoln Motor Company and the entirely new Lincoln MKX.
Nice Sunday afternoon on Boston Harbor. Cannon now playing the right tackle. A couple rookies in the middle there on that line for Tom Brady with the 1st and 10. After a 40-yard field goal by Jacksonville. Brady on the move and throws it away with pressure from behind by Tyson Alualu. It's 2nd down and 10.
And when Brady throws it away, Kevin, he clearly throws it away. It's not even close. He said he's going to throw it at the foot of a receiver. He just puts it in the ground. I threw a couple interceptions in my career trying to throw the ball away. You think you're throwing it out of bounds and it doesn't quite get out of bounds, and the receiver, a defensive back's able to make the play. You're going to throw it away? He used to say, throw it in the stands. So he does a good job not even giving anybody a chance.
Hey, we're A-ing
it. Risk versus reward with Tom Brady.
A-ing it to 50.
Keyshawn Martin will be at the bottom of your screen. They just got him in a trade with Houston, 2nd and 10, and they go to Martin right here. Brought down by Buzz Lesney. It's a quick slant. He's up to the 33. 13-yard pickup and a Patriot 1st down.
A way to get out in front of it, Kevin. And Brady talked about Keyshawn Martin. He comes over from Houston. You think there's a history there having played in Bill O'Brien's offense, but he said it's just coming in here. The challenge for him is going to be learning this new system. Not an easy system to learn for young players or new players that join the Patriots. So much volume, so much intricacy and detail. Remember now, Patriots haven't really changed systems since Belichick has been here offensively.
1st and 10 carry. Telvin Smith is there. It is a gain of 3. Rich, I began this series talking about the youth in the interior portion of that offensive line for New England.
Yeah, it's really amazing when you think about it. They've got 3 rookies. David Andrews, they've got Shaq Mason, and also Trey Jackson. And David Andrews, I think, has done a terrific job, Kevin, their free agent center out of Georgia. He didn't go to the combine. He didn't get many workouts, but he's been very poised. His coach told us the other day, he doesn't get routed. He's got a good level-headed approach, and he's done a terrific job in the middle of that offensive line.
Lewis is in. Brady. Lewis on the cross. Brought down by both Buzz Lesney and Smith. Gain of 6. He's to the 42. Let's go to New York.
Hey, Kevin, Dallas not missing a beat.
Yeah, not at all. This offensive line is playing outstanding. You're going to see Darren McFadden run here for the 2-yard scamper for the touchdown. 125 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns so far for this rushing offense. Brandon Wheaton, 9 for 9, 105 yards. Dallas all over the Falcons.
All right, back to Kevin Harlan. Rich Gannon.
Remember, Atlanta is 2-0. They've beaten the NFC East those first couple games. Brady on 3rd and 1 with Mason as his fullback just watching. And the 38-year-old Tom Brady carves his way for a first. Just in comparison, Peyton Manning is about 39.5. But Brady's health has never been better, Rich. We saw him in practice on Friday.
Well, I think it's always about availability and accountability. We talked about how healthy Tom Brady has been throughout his career. Kev just had the knee injury back in 2008. But, I think there's certainly some luck involved, but I think there's experience at that position. And he's never surprised by what he sees defensively. It's very rare you put the tape on Monday morning and see him get hit in the back of the head by a free safety.
Gets away from Alualdo, dumps it off to Blunt on 1st and 10, and then Sergio Brown brings him out of bounds at the Jacksonville 42. Blunt with a catch and run of 13, another Patriot first down.
It seems like Blunt's been on the shelf for a couple of weeks, Kevin, and it's not an easy position to be in. You have to stay involved mentally, and we know he's a strong runner. He's got decent speed, and he's not easy to bring down. But he's a much different player, and kind of a change-up pitch than what they already have in Dion Lewis.
Blunt grew up a couple hours west of Jacksonville. 1st and 10, and outside he goes, running down inside the 25. Hit by Evans, forced out of play, rumbles for 22. It's a 1st and 10 for the Patriots at the Jacksonville 20.
Well, he's got fresh legs, didn't play week 1, and really didn't touch the ball at all last week against Buffalo. And it's a guy that they're really high on, and a guy that he's got some real history in this offense.
Brady 1st and 10. And there's Edelman's 4th catch of the day. He was whacked pretty hard on the play by Smith. He picks up 4. He's down to the 16-yard line.
Julian Edelman is not afraid to go in the middle of the field against those linebackers and safeties and do the dirty work. Tough, smart, dependable.
And Brady is on the brink of 400 touchdown passes. 2nd down and 6 from the 16 into the nickel.
Sugar. Hey, Python! Mickey wants a mic.
Lewis, he tries to dance. There was some terrific Telvin Smith defensive work there, and it's only a gain of 2, and he's down to the 14.
I really like Telvin Smith, Kevin. He's just a smart player. He's got a nose for the football, can run sideline to sideline. They've got 2 very good inside linebackers, Paul Posluszny and Telvin Smith. Had a chance to play a lot of football a season ago as a rookie for the Jaguars.
3rd down and 4, 10th play of the drive. Lewis is in. Martin the receiver. Brady. And it's caught for a first down to the 6. McCray with the tackle. Amendola with the tumbling catch. He picks up 8. 1st and goal to go, New England.
Talk about location on throws. Low and away from the inside defender. Brady's got such a great feel for leverage in the passing game.
1st and goal, Lewis. Oh, what a move inside with a great cut. He picks up 4. Down to about the 2. And he was tackled on the play by Josh Evans, who was waving him off.
Brady's jumping the ball. They're trying to run Shaq Mason on the field, and
that could take a while.
Some confusion.
Yeah, there is. Wrong personnel, perhaps?
Well, I think they were trying to run Shaq Mason on. They had a play in mind. Brady kind of called him off. Now Brady's got to come up with a play.
2nd goal at the 2. Knocked down. What a defensive play by Sergio Brown.
And if you're a defense, Kevin, and you see that, you got to assume, what's Tom Brady going to do? He's not going to hand the football. He wants to throw for number 400. I can tell you this. They're not going to stop the game and hand Tom Brady some football like they would do in another NFL city or other NFL cities.
13th play of the drive. Blunt has had a couple of plays for 13 and 22 yards. Martin had a catch reception for 13. Third and goal at the 2. 13th play of the drive. They split out. Gronkowski at tight end right. Chandler left. Blunt is in. Brady, Gronkowski incomplete with the coverage by Devon House. He was a big-time, big-ticket free agent out of Green Bay. Comes up with a play right there. 4th and goal. They're going to go for 3.
And I like how Devon House played him, Kevin. He played him off, gave him a little bit of space, and just did a nice job playing the ball in the air. You know that's coming when you see 87 shift out.
Good play by House. Jacksonville plays a lot of zone. They thought the tackling and position, more position than anything, would be key for them today, defensively. 20-yard field goal. Gostkowski's already knocked one through from 46. Tag on a 20-yarder right there. They had it 1st and goal at the 6. They settle for 3, but their lead is 10 late in the second. Downtown Boston. Beautiful. Coming up in the Verizon halftime report, JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher with scores, news, and highlights, plus a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. With hey, the Pope is here.
Yeah, he was in Washington earlier.
Yeah,
New York City, and Philadelphia last couple days.
He's a Patriots fan too.
Yeah, he is.
I think he'd be a Saints fan. Nonetheless, he's here. Grant will get this on a bounce and bring it out. And then he is corralled and brought down by Chung. 20-yard return. Well, we got a blessed day here in Foxborough. 3.5 in the second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. And by Pandora. The next song matters.
What a nice way to spend a Sunday afternoon. With Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan, here comes Jacksonville. Long drives, both these teams last time they had it. 40-yard field goal by the Jaguars. They open up here after a field goal moments ago by Gostkowski from the 22. Looking into the nickel. It's 1st and 10 for Bortles. Fake to Yeldon. And they're going deep, and they got the receiver, Walters. He's knocked out of bounds by the defensive back, Devin McCourty. He's up to the 45. He picks up 23 and a Jacksonville first down.
Really nice play action here, and good protection up front. Good extension with the ball. Really nice throw here by Blake Bortles. He has to get it over the corner and in between the safety to his receiver, Brian Walters. But a really nice throw and catch there for Jacksonville.
Nice touch.
Yeah. 380. Green is up.
It's a 1st and 10 and Yeldon. A block in there by Beatles, and he's up to the 50-yard line. And then he is brought down by Ryan, and he picks up 5 on the play. T.J. Yeldon. But what when you look at Bortles and you look at him last year and this year, Rich, what do you see?
I can see a more compact throwing motion. I think he worked hard this offseason, Kevin, on his throwing mechanics. Went out there and worked with Tom House out in California. He said he planned on staying a week and wound up staying around 2.5 months. And I think last season, toward the end of the year, his release and his arm dropped so low, his elbow was cleared down by his hip, that he developed some soreness in his arm. He's worked really hard. Tom Brady's also a Tom House guy.
He looks into the nickel here on 2nd and 5, and he's got Walters once again. He was grabbed immediately by linebacker Dante Hightower.
He's down.
Looks like he was down, picks up 5, and he's to the 45-yard line of New England.
I think we're seeing more and more quarterbacks take the initiative in the offseason to go somewhere where they can get better. And I applaud Blake Bortles for doing that. He said to us he didn't know what to do when he started throwing poorly last year. Now he has a checklist.
Tom House linking Bortles and Brady. With the 2-minute warning. 10-point lead for the reigning world champs. Gus Bradley brings his team to Foxborough today, 1-1, tied for first in this early season in the AFC South. Got it now at the 45-yard line of New England with the 1st and 10. Yeldon is in. 5 in the Patriots secondary. Bortles moves up nicely. Intercepted! It's picked off by Devin McCourty, who Jacksonville wanted badly in the offseason as a free agent, tackled by Wisniewski. Bortles throws the pick. The ball returned to the 43. A 26-yard return. It's the first turnover. And Devin McCourty picks it off.
Well, back here in New England, let's take a look at the interception. Bortles is trying to get his tight end, Mercedes Lewis, up the seam. And look at McCourty. He's going to start over here, but yet he's reading the eyes of the quarterback the whole way. And this ball just sails on Blake Bortles. We talk about late throws down the middle. He's got to get this thing up and down quicker. This is a tight throw, and he overthrows Mercedes Lewis. Big turnover before the half. A great opportunity, a wasted opportunity for Jacksonville in New England's part of the field.
You know, every quarterback, when you start comparing him to Brady throws, looks different. But Bortles' pass looks different than Brady's. And obviously, it must.
He's still working on those mechanics, Kevin, and keeping that elbow up. And
Patriots with one timeout from their 43 after McCourty just returned at 26 on a pick of Bortles, a screen pass with a lead block right there from Andrews. And this is Dion Lewis, who scampers his way into Jacksonville territory for the 49 and picks up 8 on first down.
Really smart play by Lewis, knowing that he had an opportunity maybe to get up inside and pick up a couple more yards, but he gets to the boundary and stops the clock.
Second down and 2. Lewis has had a couple fumbles here in week 1 and week 2 and has Telvin Smith around his ankles. Squirms his way for 6. First down to the 44.
Brady's so good in these 2-minute situations, just understanding the situation, timeouts.
Hey, read it. Read it.
Time on the clock.
Jaguars in the nickel, 1st and 10, Brady. Underneath again, Lewis. Smith is there, and also McCray in the secondary. 9-yard pickup for Dion Lewis.
Kevin, he always knows where his quick answer throw is. You know, he always seems to have that in his back pocket, where I can find the easy completion, sometimes late in the progression.
Second down and 1. Outside for Edelman. House will defend. Incomplete. They wave it away. Said he trapped the ball at the 31. 3rd and 1.
Right through the breadbasket.
He doesn't drop many.
No, he really doesn't. Sure-handed receiver.
As we said at the top of the show, Rich, he's been targeted the most of any single receiver in the league.
Yeah, 19 times last week. He can't complain. He's got nothing to complain about.
No. 3rd and 1.
You know, some quarterbacks aren't very good at the quarterback sneak, but Brady is. He does a good job kind of getting behind, getting his body low, and he catches you off guard. And look at how he tucks and continues to drive the legs. I don't think of him as a great runner, and he's not, but he's pretty good at the quarterback sneak.
1st and 10, moves up and winds up, and he's cut. Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski hit by Sergio Brown at the 6-yard line of Jacksonville. A laser of 26 yards. Flag has been thrown back at the 38.
Personal foul, rubbing the passer, 55 defense. Hit the quarterback in the head, half the distance to the goal. First down.
Dan Scuda.
Just check this out. He sees 2 deep safeties. He knows he's got a chance to work down the middle of the field with Gronkowski. We talked about this zone coverage. He's got to fit this one over the linebacker and in between the safeties. Of course, you see the late hit on Brady from Jared Odrick. Can't hit him in the head.
Gronkowski in tight. 1st and goal at the 3. Brady. Lewis. Nice stick down low by Josh Evans and a pickup of 2. And he's down to the 1. Timeout New England. They're out of timeouts now. 22 seconds to play here in the first half. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from our CBS studios in New York. JB and Company. News, scores, highlights, plus a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. First, you talk about the most important relationship in the organization. Organization-wide, relationship between the head coach and the quarterback.
Yeah, it's special, and I think that these guys have been together for a long time, and I think there's a mutual respect and understanding and really appreciation for what they do. But loved talking to Brady on Friday, and he talked about that the time he gets to spend with Coach Belichick during the week, and Bill's ability to kind of talk from a defensive perspective in terms of what Jacksonville may do, and say always on the same page.
Second and goal at the 1. Brady caught, touchdown Amendola. That's touchdown pass number 400. He's in elite company. Tom Brady. Someday he will be in Canton. Right now he's in the end zone for a 400th time through the air.
Well, Brady's going to start working out here, but he comes right back inside. He's going to find in the back of the end zone Amendola. I mean, this is amazing that Amendola that wide open and unaccounted for in the back of the end zone.
Amendola with a touchdown reception, his first. Tom Brady joins the likes of Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, the legends of the game. Brady, number 4 all time. It's Gostkowski with the extra point. It's 20-3. An interception by McCourty. And then Brady got a big play of 26 yards to Gronkowski, and then a 1-yard touchdown pass. That's it. History in Foxborough, and the Patriots are on a roll.
Talk about an elite group of passers, Kevin, and congratulations to Tom Brady on touchdown number 400. He makes it look so easy, and again, he's so humble. He just jogs to the sidelines, and that's kind of the way they do things here in New England. It's all about the team and not the individual.
Belichick and Brady.
Good job. Now do your job.
Again.
Now do your job in the second half.
And Gostkowski will kick it down, and then Avery Jones will get that ground ball. He's so focused, and he continually works on evolving and getting better. He's 38. He's been in the league 16 years. He's won 4 Super Bowl titles, constantly looking to improve.
Yeah, he's really like a surgeon, Kevin, with his precision in the passing game. I mean, it's fun to watch him dissect defenses, and we saw it last week. You and I were in Buffalo against a defense that blitzed him and pressured him, and today a defense that drops and plays zone coverage. It really doesn't make a difference. You got to kind of pick your poison with Tom Brady.
Pierce in the backfield, 1st and 10 for Blake Bortles. Threw a pick the last time. There's Pierce, and boy, is he doused in a hurry. How about that? There's our man Dominique Easley, loss of 3 on the play. He's missed the last couple games, or missed half of Pittsburgh and all of Buffalo, and now he's making a play right there. Bad hip, questionable coming in.
Looked fully healed there with a little jump.
He did. He looked pretty
scissor
good.
jump.
Tom Brady has thrown his 400th career touchdown pass, and the Patriots in control at halftime in Foxborough. Intercepted. It's picked off by Devin McCourty. That's touchdown pass number 400. The defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots on top of the Jacksonville Jaguars at halftime, 20-3. New England scoring every time they've had the ball. As we now take a look at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam, Brady, Amendola with a 1-yard historic touchdown pass by number 12. There he is with a sizable lead going into the second half with Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan. What are your overall thoughts on this first half?
Well, if Jacksonville loses this game, Kevin, I'll look back to the interception right before the half to Devin McCourty. I mean, chance to really cut it to 1-score game, and instead they turn it over and Brady takes them down the field. Now it's a 3-score game, but Bortles got to play better. They've got to be able to run the football some, but really a big turning point in the first half.
How about specific adjustments for the Jaguars in the second half?
Well, I think they have to be able to run the football a little bit better than they did in the first half. I mean, just 35 yards on the ground, that's not who they are. They got to be able to be better on first down. And then I think defensively, they've got to be able to create some opportunities. Their offense is struggling. They need to come up with some turnovers or field position for that struggling group. And then on the other side of it, look at Brady. Just keeps slinging it. He's already thrown for 202 yards. He's playing as well as any player in football right now. And I think defensively for the Patriots, they've got to keep everything in front of them. They're up 20-3. They can't give up any big plays, especially to players like Allen Robinson for Jacksonville. He's a guy that can really get behind you in the secondary.
Well, the Patriots did win the flip of the coin. They did defer, and so they receive here in the second half. Amendola is deep back. Patriots have scored an 8-yard touchdown run by Lewis. 1-yard touchdown pass. We just saw that. Amendola from Brady and a couple of Gostkowski field goals of 46 and 20 yards. Second half is underway. And Amendola will out of bounds with the ball, touched back to the 20. It's a 1st and 10. And Rich, through 30 minutes of football, here are some of the statistics.
Yeah, it's pretty one-sided, Kevin. You look at the Patriots, 268 yards of offense, no turnovers, are averaging almost 8 yards a play. And you know, you mentioned the Patriots have scored every time they've touched the ball in the first half. This is a huge, obviously, huge series for the Jacksonville defense. And as I told you on Friday, when you go into a game against a quarterback like Tom Brady, you know, you got to assume, if you're Blake Bortles, that he's going to score every time he touches the ball. So far, that's been the case in this one. The match them score for score.
It's a 1st and 10 for Tom Brady. Finds an outlet. Second catch today for Keyshawn Martin with the tackle made by Devon House. He swings his way out to about the 27 on a gain of 7.
You look at those numbers. I mean, just so methodical, and it looks effortless with Brady, and they're doing a good job mixing things up. They even got LeGarrette Blount in the game. He had a couple carries, had a long run of 22. Dion Lewis has been effective. Gronk's got 3 catches for 80 yards. Edelman's got 4 catches.
Josh Evans is out with a knee injury, and so Aaron Colvin is in the backfield defensively for Jacksonville. 2nd and 3 here for Brady. Moving up nice and swinging it across the way. Caught by Edelman. House is there. The gain to the 43-yard line of New England. 16-yard pickup. Brady 18-24.
Nice job by Brady stepping up in the pocket. He feels the rush. He's able to step up and reset himself and get his legs and his upper body square to the target. He talked so much on Friday about, you know, everything is about fundamentals with him, and when you're fundamentally off, it's so difficult to do it under pressure. And I think he's a guy that's so technically sound when it comes to throwing the football.
Walking off Sergio Brown, and they will check him out after getting upset on that last play. Peyton Thompson, an undrafted player who was called off the practice squad last Saturday because the secondary is so thin, comes in. So Evans is gone, a starter. Brown is gone, a starter. And Brady has a 1st and 10.
As you know, Kevin, they're without Jonathan Cyprien, the other safety, so that's a real issue right now for Jacksonville in the middle of the field.
Cyprien has a calf injury. Brady 1st and 10. In stride, Gronkowski, as he picks apart the depleted secondary. Gronkowski with a catch and run of 21 yards on the play in the vicinity. Thompson with the defense in the secondary for Jacksonville.
And really no surprise here. What does he do? He goes right after the middle of the field. Talked about the safeties being out, and then you've got a player like Scuda is a much better rusher and run defender than he is a cover guy.
Rob Gronkowski over 100 yards receiving already. First down and 10. That's deflected at the line. And incomplete. Who came through on that one? Is that Jones coming through? Avery Jones out of Georgia.
A pretty good push up the field. You see Jones there, terrific effort getting that right hand up there, just enough to bat that ball away.
5 defensive backs. That's what Tom Brady looks at right now. The Patriots run more empty formations than any other offense in football. 2nd down and 10. Across the middle, he's got a 6th reception to Edelman. He dances into the grasp of Buzz Lesney and picks up 9 right there. If Edelman gets 10 or more catches, he'll set a record today.
You know, look, just so good at understanding the type of coverage. And Kevin, you mentioned their no back, their empty sets, the fact that they run it more than anybody, and they do such a great job spreading you out. You've got to account for so many good players. How are you going to stop Edelman? How are you going to stop Gronk? How are you going to stop Dion Lewis when he's lined up in the slot or outside? Amendola.
It's staggering. 3rd and 1. Brady on these previous 3rd and 1s today has had a quarterback sneak. Not this time. Blunt following the rookie Mason has the 1st down. Slashing his way into the grasp of rookie James Sample. Picks up 9 on 3rd and 1. Moves it down to the 18-yard line of the Jaguars.
Well, you get Get the big bruiser in here, LeGarrette Blount. I mean, he's a finisher. He's a determined, straight-ahead runner. No fair dodging with this guy, and gains a lot of yards after initial contact.
How big that backfield is. Mason, 69.
Big offensive lineman.
A couple tight ends in there.
What you can do.
First down and 10. Blunt. Oh, nice penetration right there by Jarek Odrick. He shot right through, throwing him for a loss of 3 back to the 21. Odrick was a big signee on that defensive line. They got him as a starter from Miami.
Yeah, I really like Odrick. Good addition. Last week he had a couple tackles, a hurry, a sack, forced fumble, knocked down a pass.
He started 8 times, played 8 times against this New England offense. He knows it well when he was a Dolphin.
And he can play on either side. We saw him on the right. Now he's on the left side up here.
Good point. Second down and 13. 8th play of the drive. Brady. A rocket almost picked off by Sample. Yep, he just about had it. That is the rookie out of Louisville who began his college career at Washington. It's 3rd and 13.
He did a nice job, Sample, last week in his first ever opportunity against Miami. There was some limited packages because of his inexperience.
Other players down, Rich. Is that House, who last week had hydration issues and missed the entire second half against Miami? House is injured. We step aside. 11:33 in the 3rd. The reason Devon House was down, he had a collision with Gronkowski. And there's never a minor collision when you run into 87. It's always major. And both felt it. Yeah, wow. All right, Nick Marshall taking his place. Rookie free agent here, bottom of your screen in the secondary. He was quarterback last year for Auburn. Now playing in the secondary. 3rd and 13. Lewis in motion. Let's see if Brady smells blood. Here they come, and they bring him down. Nice sack by Ryan Davis. It's the first sack. He's out of Bethune-Cookman, and they throw Brady for a loss back to about the 28, 27-yard line.
Hey, look at Davis. He's working up inside. He's just going to come off the edge, and Brady's holding the football, not able to find a completion.
Well, Gostkowski's already kicked a couple field goals from 46 and 20. This is a 46-yard try. And 3 more up there, and it's 23-3, the Patriots. Scoring every time they've had the ball this afternoon. 10:50 in the 3rd from Foxborough.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football. And by Dodge.
Beautiful weather and a busy weekend here at Gillette Stadium. Friday night, an Ed Sheeran concert. Saturday, the New England Revolution hosted the Philadelphia Union. And today, the NFL New England Patriots. And after the 46-yard field goal, Gostkowski kicks it off the other way. Grabbed by Corey Grant. It'll be a touchback. Blake Bortles comes back out there. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The talk here in the press box, Rich, was that a couple missed opportunities, and this game may look a little bit different.
Yeah, really. And again, Kevin, it's getting to the point now where it's 23-3. Every series absolutely critical for this Jacksonville offense. And as you see Gus Bradley, he's got his young quarterback out there, and this is an opportunity maybe to open things up a little bit offensively and give this guy a chance to chuck it around.
Patriots in the nickel. Yeldon at the side of Bortles. It's 1st and 10 with some play action. Here comes Sheard. There goes Bortles, and the catch. Allen Robinson with the coverage by Butler.
That was really nice coverage there by Malcolm Butler.
Incomplete pass.
He almost ran the route for the receiver.
Yep. Butler, of course, had the Super Bowl saving interception. Boy, that ball looked funny, huh? Flying.
Yes, Kevin, I mentioned it to you during one of the breaks. I mean, some of the throws, some of the balls have come out of the hands of Blake Bortles have had some wobble on it. They haven't been really tight spirals. A difficult time throwing the ball outside the numbers a little bit in this one.
With a 2nd down and 10, it's Yeldon. He's brought down by Patrick Chung, who started both games in the secondary. There's a 3-yard gain, and these are the first half possessions for the Jaguars here in New England today.
Yeah, they got to do what they did on that third one. I mean, 17 plays to come away with a field goal, but the interception before the half, devastating. I mean, Kevin, it could have been a 13-6 ball game at worst. Instead, it's 20-3, and now New England goes into the locker room with all the momentum.
Marquise Lee is out with a hamstring, and that's kind of hog-tied a little bit Greg Olsen. Walters is in, 3rd and 7 for Blake Bortles. Into the nickel. And his receiver looked like he slept. That was the talented Allen Robinson. It's incomplete. Coverage was tight. It's 3 and out. They got a punt.
Yeah, really good coverage here again by Coleman. It looks like Robinson, they both just stumble. And Robinson not able to make that adjustment.
Coleman's first NFL game, Rich.
Yeah. Changes in the secondary at the cornerback position for the Patriots. They're going with some young guys, Kevin. We haven't seen a lot of Terrell Brown and Fletcher didn't even dress. 2 veterans that they picked up in the offseason.
Brian Anger's going to punt for Jacksonville. Deep back is Edelman. Marginal wind here in Foxborough, and there goes the flag. Delayed.
I mean, what are you doing?
Delay of the game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
And we talked about it, Kevin, the mistakes, and said at the top of the show that in order for Jacksonville to come in here and win, they'd have to have a clean performance, and it hasn't been a clean performance. We talked about the penalties and the turnovers and the missed assignments, and just can't do that against a good football team and expect to be competitive.
Anger's punt with Bolden in there almost getting a hand on it. And this is Edelman from the 24. Kept his footing, bounces around to the 33, hang time of 4-4. A punt of 52 yards, 8-yard return. So Tom Brady with his 400th touchdown pass. Real coverage of today's game provided by MetLife. The blimp high atop Gillette Stadium. Love drinks. 1st and 10. Outside they go, and here's a catch and run by reserve running back James White, who's a 4th-round pick out of Wisconsin in his 2nd year. 7-yard pickup and a flag thrown on the play.
Late flag.
Pats, I think, are guilty here.
Pass interference, number 87, offense. 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
We're watching Gronk close.
Yeah, they are.
Him twice now for pushing off. We got him in the first half for one, and ball wasn't even thrown in his direction.
You know, the public persona of Gronkowski is that of a fun-loving young man. This guy at practice and his study habits are admirable. And Belichick has said he's one of the leaders on the team.
He really is, and he takes great pride in his preparation, his performance each week. And his actions speak louder than his words, that's for sure.
Devon House is back out there in the secondary. 1st and 20, going for Dobson. Flag thrown, dropped the ball, incomplete, but it's going to be a flag on Peyton Thompson, who is hanging on for dear life against Dobson, who's coming off a terrific game last week in Buffalo.
They're so young right now in the
Pass
secondary.
Is incomplete. Pass interference, number 25, defense. Ball replaced at the spot of the foul. 1st down.
Well, he gets beat, never plays the ball. He's just, as you said, Kevin, he's holding on for dear life here, just trying to make a play, trying to prevent a big throw over the top. Dobson not able to squeeze it, but nonetheless, they big penalty for Jacksonville.
52 yards worth of penalty. 1st down and 10. Blunt is in. Gronkowski on the move. 4 in their secondary. Brady, 1st and 10. For Gronkowski, picked off by House and a flag thrown. That's going to be on Jacksonville as Devon House takes it the other way. Edelman tried to strip it away. And House on the move. Of course, we don't know that it's on Jacksonville. It would appear. There goes Trey Jackson chasing him down, and he goes all the way to the other end of the field, but the flag was thrown. I think Gronkowski was hit pretty hard prior to the throw. And this will be on the Jaguars with interference in the end zone. He was really whacked. James Sample was in charge of covering him along with House.
Pass interference, number 23, defense. Foul occurred in the end zone where we placed the ball at the 1 yard line. First down.
Sample. Gus Bradley, the longtime Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator, the head man at Jacksonville.
Well, you're going to see the post, and here's Gronk. They're trying to get him on the flatten up, and what happens is they do a nice job with the corner and the safety switching it off. Devon House, he's covering Edelman, and then he wheels out at the end. Brady never feels him fall off Edelman to help out on Gronk. Just a terrific play and a terrific adjustment by Devon House.
Goes for not, so 52 yards worth of penalty, and the first call, 24-yard penalty in essence there. First and goal to go. Blunt, he'll try to carve his way in, and he does for a touchdown. A 1-yard touchdown run by LeGarrette Blunt. Patriots have scored all 6 possessions, and the owner, Robert Kraft, and his son Jonathan enjoying pleasant afternoon here in New England.
Well, you see the double team on the right side of the offensive line with Klein and Vollmer and Andrews. Of course, you get the lead and you get the big back of LeGarrette Blunt. That's what he does best. Pound it in from a couple yards out.
Officially, Rich, that officially is going to be a one-play, 67-yard drive with penalties of 52 and 24 yards. On Jacksonville. Gostkowski got it. His third extra point today. He has tied Matt Stover for 422 in a row. And bulldozing for one, LeGarrette Blunt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Rent.com, where everything's totally legit.
Crabs off the shores of Cape Cod.
Some crabby people on that sideline from Jacksonville right now. I can promise you that, Kevin. Down 30-3.
Here's a kickoff by Gostkowski. Grant lets it sail over his head to the 20-yard line with a 1st and 10. And tomorrow, catch a new life in pieces, the most watched new comedy of the season, after a new Big Bang Theory, right here on CBS.
Well, if you're Jacksonville offensively, Kevin, you're probably not going to win this game, but you don't want to develop bad habits at the quarterback position. I think it's important for Blake Bortles to finish strong here in the second half.
51 to Mike.
Pick up the tempo a little bit, clean some things up, get a couple scores here in the second half, and feel better about your performance moving forward as you get on that play and head back to Jacksonville tonight.
Bortles 1st and 10. That was a dangerous throw. It was grabbed by Robinson. The coverage by Logan. It is a gain of 4 to the 24.
Just a one-step slant, and then Ryan sees it the whole way. Jacksonville hasn't had great field position. They have had 7 drives. 6 of them have started at their own 20 or worse. Look at Bortles' numbers there.
A lot of red. A lot of red. 2nd down and 6.
It's like one of your report cards from 8th grade.
That's why I don't like to look at it. Yeldon out. Grant is in, gets the goal, and the stutter step moves into the grasp of Jamie Collins on a gain of 4. He's up to the 27-yard line.
You know, we talk about New England's offense all the time, Kevin. I think their defense has a chance to be pretty good this year. You look at Matt Patricia, had 8 sacks last week against the Bills. They come into today's game with 11. That led the league, and you know, you're seeing a little bit more pressure out of this group. Some more 5-man pressures, especially on 3rd down.
Pats in the nickel. Yeldon is a receiver in motion. Now goes and joins Bortles. 3rd down and 2.
Another pressure.
Bortles, Yeldon, 1st down. Running out of the reach of Ninkovich, and he's out to the 37-yard line with a catch and run of 9 and a 1st down.
This is where I think Yeldon's going to get a lot better in the passing game. Just getting more comfortable with protections and where he needs to be and whose responsibilities are. And he's got soft hands.
Takes time, doesn't it?
It really does. It's not an easy thing to learn, especially coming from some of these college offenses that are so heavy run oriented and play action, but not a lot of protections.
Pierce in the slot. 1st and 10. Bortles, second look. And he's going for Pierce. And the coverage with the linebacker on him, Jamie Collins. And it's incomplete. So talk about that. The gulf, it seems, is building, Rich, between what these NFL coaches are getting from the college offensive ranks.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge. You get these guys in the spread offense and never take a snap from under center, or you got a situation where you got a quarterback that played in an offense that had a handful of protections. And I think that was the biggest challenge for Greg Olsen, the offensive coordinator. He said we had to teach him how to protect himself. They gave up 71 sacks a year ago, and that number is going to improve significantly with Greg Olsen, but I think they're a lot more protection conscious, and they're putting it on the quarterback to make those calls.
Yeldon on 2nd down and 10. Runs into Salinga along with a couple others, and the gain out to the 40, and he picks up 4 on the play.
Greg Olsen was saying, Kevin, last night that you look at all the sacks that they had last year, and Blake didn't understand where the free hitter was coming from, and he didn't understand how to change the protections. And they bring in a veteran center, and Stefan Wisniewski, who was with Greg Olsen last year. I think that's helped streamline some things for the offensive line, but communication, really Blake Bortles taking ownership of this offense. To be able to make the calls and make the checks. Takes a while. Still learning. It's kind of on-the-job training, and it can be painful for a young quarterback.
3rd in the short 7. 5 in the Patriots secondary. Greg Bortles, and they blow that dead.
Delay a game.
Yep.
Delay of the game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Well, the 25-second clock, Kevin. I always, as a young quarterback, I always came into different facilities and stadiums and really looked to find out where they are. And here in Gillette Stadium, they're up high. They're not down low. So you have to really take a peek up to see how high they are. They're way up there by the scoreboard.
So you'd walk the stadium and you can't kind of get the geography of things.
So go ahead. They got a timeout right before. Go ahead and freeze it for a second right there. You see it's way up here. That deal. I prefer it down here where I can see it so my eyes don't have to leave the playing field. Does that make sense? As you walk up the line of scrimmage, I don't want to be looking up into the stands. I want to be able to, with my peripheral vision, see that out of the corner of my eye. But you got to check it every time you break the huddle.
They took a timeout. Jacksonville did. Kind of knowing what the geography of where you're going to be is, and I can see that. Well, why don't they move it down low? I mean, obviously Brady would probably like it down there too, wouldn't he?
Somebody's probably paying for that space down there. Does that make sense?
Ding, ding, ding. You just nailed it.
Costs money to have it down there.
That's right.
By the way, Brady, they snap the ball so quick anyway. Brady doesn't even need it.
No, you're right. 3rd and 7. And they've got a receiver that turns, and he's going to take it all the way in as he got by Harmon. Nice touchdown pass of 59 yards. Caught by Allen Hurns.
Well, they do a really nice job throwing the ball up the seams. You get this single high safety, and Bortles does a nice job this time really holding the safety and throws a perfect strike over the outstretched hands of the corner, Harmon, and
he initially got by Malcolm Butler, and then Harmon came over from the safety. And now here is the extra point, a 59-yard touchdown pass. And the first touchdown reception by Hurns this year. Another point, 30-10. He had amongst the best numbers for a rookie free agent in league history a year ago, with 6 touchdown receptions. Here's his first one he'll remember, 59-yarder against the world champs. He played at the University of Miami, is undrafted and is a rookie free agent, put his fingerprints on the season. Allen Hurns with a 59-yard touchdown reception, catch and run moments ago, beating defensive back Malcolm Butler. With the ensuing kickoff by Myers. Amendola. Leaving it in the end zone, touchback to the 20-yard line.
They're just such a good job with their ball distribution. They really make you account for everyone in the passing game. You see Lewis, he's got 5 receptions. Gronk's got 4 already. Edelman has 6. Amendola, he's got 3. Last week, 4 different Patriot receivers had at least 85 receiving yards against the Bills. Brady doesn't discriminate. He just throws it to the open guy, but man, he's got some targets here, Kevin. They use them all. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs.
Keeps everybody involved. James White in the backfield with him right now with the 1st and 10 from the 20. To White out of Wisconsin. Lesney in pursuit. And out of bounds he goes. Nice catch and run by James White. He picks up 11 on the play to the 31-8. Tomorrow on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Don't miss guests. First Lady Michelle Obama. Plus Mindy Kaling and John Legend. That's tomorrow on The Late Show. 1st and 10 Patriots who have scored every time they've had the ball. Lewis with an 8-yard touchdown run. 1-yard touchdown pass. Brady to Amendola. Touchdown run of a yard by Blunt. Field goals by Gostkowski. 1st and 10. 7th reception for Edelman. Blocked down by a couple, including Roy Miller III. It's a gain of 4. He's up to the 35.
You know, Kevin, you asked yourself, why isn't Jacksonville doing something different defensively? Why aren't they trying to change things up? And you guys, you say, look at who they have out there right now. Peyton Thompson's playing. You've got James Sample in there, rookie. You've got a lot of young players in the secondary, and it's hard to start pressuring and blitzing when you're thin at the cornerback position, at the safety position. Really banged up right now at the safety position. They need to get Cyprian back in a hurry.
Little 2nd down and 6. Underneath they go. Edelman dancing ahead. Plus Lesney is there. It's a gain of 11 to the 46. An injured Pittsburgh quarterback to New York and James.
And Kevin, as you know, this guy has been Mr. Durable.
Yes, he has, JB. You're going to see Mark Barron come out of the screen right here. Gets tripped up. Certainly not a dirty play. Nothing intentional here, but you look at Ben Roethlisberger's face right here. Reports are he will not return the rest of this game. Devastating for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll give you updates on how he's doing.
Kevin and Rich.
Devastating, a good word indeed. Here comes Blunt, hurdling defenders, and he takes it down with a gain of 7 into the grasp of Sample to the 47-yard line of Jacksonville.
Well, Pittsburgh can't afford to lose Ben Roethlisberger. Kevin, you look at Romo going out, Cutler out, Breeze not playing today.
2nd down and 3. Still in the nickel, Jacksonville. Blunt. Good dance, great move, and there he goes into the secondary. Brought down by Thompson, maybe a horse collar. It's a rumble of 18 yards. And he's down to about the 30.
Personal foul, or horse collar tackle. 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. 1st down.
You see there, nice jump cut by LeGarrette Blount. You don't think more of Dion Lewis, but does have some quickness once he gets out on the 2nd level. And Kevin, he's such a tough tackle because he's so big, he's strong, he uses that left stiff arm on the safety.
He had to serve a 1-game suspension, so he did not play in the Thursday night opener here against the Steelers and the aforementioned Roethlisberger. 1st down and 10 from the 15, and this is Blunt once again. With the gain of 2 into the grasp of Michael Bennett, the rookie out of Ohio State, on that defensive line for Jacksonville.
Josh McDaniels not afraid to come back with the very same play. That was the exact same run we just saw the play before out of LeGarrette Blount, where he starts one way and cuts back the other. Good to see LeGarrette Blount, Kevin, get some touches in this one.
Gronkowski's not in. White is, though. 2nd down 8. Brady, good block by Cannon. Brady on the move. That's going to be a touchdown. And it's the newest Patriot receiver on the opposite end, Keyshawn Martin, 13-yard touchdown pass. The militia. Brady, his 401st career touchdown throw. 2nd today.
Well, we talk about the importance of the scramble drill. Brady's going to start to his right. He works all the way back to his left. Nice job by Keyshawn Martin, really adjusting and staying alive and giving Brady a chance to throw the ball out to the flat. You don't see a lot of movement like that out of Tom Brady, Kevin, but Showing some quickness and some elusiveness back there in the pocket.
It's 37-10. 7 New England possessions. 7 consecutive scores. This is the second touchdown pass by Brady. They've had a couple of touchdown runs. Gostkowski has been accurate. All Patriots today with a bye next week and looking to go into the bye 3-0. Focused, engaged, and Rich playing better than ever.
And Brady always seems to have that ball in the throwing position. Kevin, you mentioned going into the bye at 3-0. I certainly don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but I know that Coach Belichick won't appreciate this stat, but 75% of teams that have started 3-0 since 1990 have made the playoffs. They're just so tough at home. We showed that graphic. Brady, Belichick against AFC teams here at home. Going back to 2011, they have been dominant, absolutely dominant here in Foxborough.
Gostkowski with that extra point just set the record. We told you about it moments ago. That was 4:23. Of course, Rich, now that they've moved it back, these point afters mean something. I mean, they are tough to get. We've seen a lot of misses so far.
Yeah, that's what the league, what the competition committee wanted.
Just past Matt Stover. Grant will keep it in. Touchback to the 20. Congratulations to Stephen Gostkowski. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play, every story, and every highlight, right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now.
You know, almost every series you see Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady looking at those pictures, Kevin. It's a, you know, if you're a young quarterback, I mean, every series, whether it's a 3-and-out, whether it's a 10-12 play drive, every series they're over there looking at fronts, looking at coverages, talking about what Brady's seeing. Communication absolutely critical between the play caller and the quarterback.
Borders the last time out there threw a 59-yard touchdown pass, and Bortles goes out here now to Yeldon, who's getting by Collins. Brought down by Justin Coleman, 22, and there's no gain on the play. Coleman was with Minnesota, the rookie out of Tennessee. He was cut. New England picked him up. They cut him. Seattle got him. They cut him after a day, and he was re-signed by the Patriots.
He's been playing a lot of snaps.
He has been. He played a lot in practice on Friday, as you and I saw. 2nd and 10.
They are not afraid, the Patriots, to play with young players. Of course, Jacksonville's not either. 3 second-year receivers, a rookie running back.
Yeah. Go.
With a 2nd down and 10, looking into the nickel, Bortles. That's off the fingertips of his receiver. Is that Yeldon?
That was Yeldon, yep.
Incomplete. This Jaguar offense was very balanced against Miami. Of course, it's completely different now. They are without, by the way, their rookie wide receiver Rashad Green on the IR, designated to return after a thumb injury. Will require surgery, eligible to come off in mid-November.
These are tough spots for the coordinator and for the quarterback, Kevin. These 3rd and longs. This is the 5th time the Jaguars have faced a 3rd and 10 or longer in this game.
They got 6 in the secondary now for the Patriots. 3rd and 10.
Here comes the blitz.
Blitz is on from Coleman. Bortles maneuvers nicely. Chandler Jones will chase him out of bounds. And he scrambles for 2 on 3rd and 10. It's 4th and 8. The bunting unit takes the field.
Well, he never sees the corner. He's going to come off the edge, and you know, that's the problem right there for the quarterback. They bring pressure up inside and off the edge. Bortles sees it just at the last second, but it's when you're on that left hash, you've got to be aware of that left corner blitz. Never saw it.
Amendola is back inside the 25, and that's a fake, and it's taken by Grant on the direct snap, and he's down at the 23. Very alert play, and it's turned in by who else? The 4-time Pro Bowl special teams performer, Matthew Slater. And that's why he's right there. And there is the special teams coach, Judge. And look where the offense will take over now with the 1st and 10. Deep in Jacksonville territory.
When you look at Slater, he's right here. He sees it the whole way. They're going to snap it to the up back. Look at Slater. Talk about being aware in situations. Look at Slater, the captain, Kevin, as you point out, of the special teams units. Smart football player.
What about the situational practices Belichick runs on Friday and Saturday?
We saw him go to every different situation on special teams. The onside kick, the hands team, backed up, taking a safety.
I mean, things that would never pop up. They practice. First and 10 from the 24. One in the backfield and the handle. Stop right there. Do you get a sense sometimes that Belichick almost has to will it as Posluszny makes the stop, that he almost coaches against himself sometimes? He always is looking to evolve himself as a coach, never standing pat on things that may have worked 5 and 10 years ago, always trying to reinvent maybe and improve his coaching.
I think the quality control is second to none when you look at what they do in New England, Kevin, and how they do it. And it starts with the head coach, and it works its way all the way down through the staff and through the players. They embrace the challenge. They embrace change here in New England, and it's a very selfless group.
Second down, 9, Brady. Dobson. Get the tackle made by Demetrius McCray with a gain of 5, and he's down at about the 18-yard line.
We talked about matching Brady score for score. Look at this, Kevin. First 7 possessions, they've scored on every single possession that they've had in this game. I mean, it's amazing. They've had some long drives. They've had some short drives. They're so efficient right now offensively, and a lot of it has to do with that guy right there, Josh McDaniels, putting together some great plans and great scripts for Tom Brady in this offense.
Hey, 51.
3rd and 4.
Read him.
Tom Chandler, the tight end, the X-bill to the 1. Brought down by Demetrius McCray. It's a gain of 17 through the air. And again, he finds a tight end.
Well, you think about covering Gronkowski. How about another tight end, 6'7", Scott Chandler, who came over in free agency from Buffalo. And their ability to utilize everybody, Kevin. You talk about multiple tight end usage, especially in this part of the field.
3 tight ends in right now. Brady's over 300 yards passing. First and goal, Blunt. And was struck by Colvin down low. Scooter trying to hold on for dear life, as is Roy Miller. And time is out in the 3rd. They'll move to the other end. Brady and the Patriots on top, 37-10. Beautiful day in Foxborough, Massachusetts, between Boston and Providence on I-95. And there's a handoff on the first play of the 4th quarter, and a 1-yard touchdown leap by Blunt, his 2nd touchdown run of the day. LeGarrette Blunt.
Leap over from about 3 yards out. Good push up front. See Scott Chandler in there. The offensive line, Kevin, has really done a nice job. We talked about how young they are inside with a couple of those rookies, David Andrews and Shaq Mason. And Josh Klein's done a nice job. The 2 tackles, the old salty veterans, Nate Solder and Sebastian Vollmer. Brady plenty of time back there in the pocket.
Gostkowski, the PAT, number 424 in a row. All-time record. Blunt with a couple touchdown runs. Lewis has a touchdown run. Brady with 2 touchdown passes.
You guys went out there and won it.
That's a player's game.
I'd do anything for you, Coach. I'd do anything for you.
I think everybody says the same thing to Belichick.
Yeah, really, what a special moment up there at the podium when you got a player that said, "I'll do anything for you, Coach." And as Coach Belichick talked to us about on Friday, Kevin, I think the greatest motivation is you want to do your best so that you don't let anyone down. And it's kind of like that military mentality. And when your best players are those kind of guys, and you have something special. They embrace the team more than themselves. And that's really what Julian Edelman and a lot of these Patriot players are all about.
After the 1-yard touchdown lead by Blunt, his 2nd 1-yard touchdown of the day. The extra point was up and in by Gostkowski, and now his subsequent kickoff is out of the end zone. It'll be the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Tom Brady and Josh McDaniel still going over strategy. Josh, he likes the old-fashioned way, just the Polaroids.
Yeah, as opposed to
the pictures, yeah.
As opposed to the handheld computer. And look at those numbers, Kevin. 9 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, you know, it's not a quarterback in football right now that's hotter than Tom Brady.
First down and 10 from the 20.
Go.
The quarterback, Blake Bortles, hands off to Gerhardt. Chopped down by Malcolm Butler. And the gain is 5 to the 25-yard line. Gerhardt.
I really felt like this would be a good measuring stick for Jacksonville. A good win last week against Miami at home, but to really come up here on the road against a team that's been so dominant at home, and you can see that Gus Bradley and his crew have a lot of work to do, Kevin, to get cleaned up to get at this level. 4-12 his first year, 3-13 his second year. It's tough to tell whether the glass is half empty or half full in Jacksonville.
The second down and 5. Gerhardt trying to dig his way, and he's met by the rookie out of Stanford, Jordan Richards, with a gain of 2 to the 27-yard line. Rich, when you had a bye the next week, as the Patriots do going in after this one, did you find yourself ever losing focus? Did you find your teams? Of course, you played for the Raiders, so who knows?
Yeah, guys are making trips to Hawaii and Vegas, and not here, not in New England.
No, not here.
You know, Coach Belichick was asked about that at his press conference during the week, and he said, "Look, we're not looking past today. A good practice. It's just ridiculous to even talk about the bye week." This is a very mature group of players, Kevin, that love coming to work and practice and getting better each day.
6 in the secondary. It's third down and 3, and that pass is dropped by Harbor with the coverage on the play by Logan Ryan, who comes through. 3 and out. Punting situation for Jacksonville.
They've got to get this straightened out, Jacksonville, Kevin. Too many drops. I watched the film last week, and you got guys dropping balls, and Rashad Green, who's hurt. He had a
more
couple
than other
drops,
teams, it seems like, Rich, the last 2 years.
Mercedes Lewis put one on the ground last week. And
another punt. Ryan Anger and Amendola deep end. Drafted Anger in the 3rd round out of Cal 4 years ago. Danny Amendola. Hiding him down is the newest player. They just signed him off the practice squad yesterday. Tony Washington. 40-yard punt. Brady back out there.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile only on Verizon. Toyota. Let's go places. And by McDonald's. Teaming up with the NFL like never before.
Striped bass. First down and 10. After the punt, Brady still in. Oh, boy. They got a nice hit there from rookie James Sample on running back James White. One James into another. Loss of 2 back to the 40-yard line. And Brady, with a sizable lead, is still in the game at the quarterback for New England.
yeah, you hate to put your back in a position like this, kind of a defenseless position. Good hit there by Sample, though.
Sample played only 1 year at Louisville, led him in tackles. Strong safety in college, free safety in the NFL. Second down and 12 for Brady. It's James White again. Finally hit by Postlesny, who's had his hand in a lot of tackles today. The catch and run of 8, and he's out to about the 48.
We're always asked about why guys like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning stay in late in games, Kevin, when you have this kind of lead. But my take on it is that as kids, they weren't very good at sharing. You know what I mean? And I think Brady's one of those guys. They don't like to share reps. You see Jimmy Garoppolo over there. Why even have the helmet on, Jimmy? Put your baseball cap on. You're not coming in anytime soon. You know? We saw Brock Osweiler last year in Denver. He ran over to get his helmet. And they said, oh, hold on. But these guys don't come out. They stay into games late. We might see Garoppolo at some point, but Brady's not a guy that likes to share reps.
Little 3rd and 4, and he's got a completion. And it's caught by Amendola, who's hit by Postlesny after a gain of 7 on 3rd and 4 and a first down to the 45-yard line of Jacksonville.
And I think part of it is also that Bill Belichick really trusts Brady to protect himself in these situations, not take the unnecessary hits, get the ball out quick. Brady really feels it's important, Kevin, to get the reps, to find his rhythm. Garoppolo this is one of the worst places to play if you're a backup quarterback, because you're probably never going to get a chance to get on the field.
9 consecutive completions for Brady. It's a handoff on 1st and 10 going to LeGarrette Blount. And he digs his way for more yardage. And a gain of 8 hit by Sample and brought down right there. Gain of 8 for Blount, who's got a couple of 1-yard touchdown runs today.
Well, with a big back like LeGarrette Blount, you can't arm tackle him. You just can't just put your arm out there, grab part of his jersey, and think you can get him on the ground. You got to gang tackle him, and you got to hit him low, below the waist.
Hey, we're A in it. Hey.
2nd down 2. Blount. Brady today, 329 passing yards, gain of 1 right there. Hey fans, stay tuned for the NFL Today update presented by FanDuel, time permitting. Join James Brown, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. Scores, news, highlights. Some interesting games around the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger has been knocked out, carted to the locker room. They'll update that situation for you. That is big news in the league, in a league that has seen some quarterbacks get whacked. No Drew Brees today, 3rd and 1. Blount with a Mason block and a block by Chandler, the tight end. He's got the 1st down, carving his way just inside the Jaguar 35.
The Patriots have 2 big tackles and a couple big tight ends that can really help you in the running game. You look at Vollmer there and Solder on the other side. These guys are 6'8", 325 pounds. And they're paid to protect Brady and to lean on people in the running game. That's why you go out and get big tackles here in New England.
With a 1st and 10. White. And Buzz Lesney at the bottom of the pile with a gain of 3 to the 32. Wednesday, don't miss the premiere of the new medical drama Code Black. Academy Award winner Marcia Gay Harden stars. It premieres Wednesday at 10, 9 Central. Only CBS.
Patriots starting to slow things down. Kevin, huddle a little bit, run the football a little bit more, trying to chew up some of this clock here in the 4th quarter.
With a 2nd down and 7, Brady. White. With a nice tackle across the way by the defensive back, McCray. Catch and run 9, down to the 23, 1st down.
We got a chance to see Logan Ryan play a little bit on defense. James White, this is a talented player, Kevin, 2nd-year player out of Wisconsin, but yet because of the production that they've gotten from Dion Lewis, James White hasn't really gotten many touches. So this is when you get a game like this where you're up 44-10 in the 4th quarter, you get some young players in there that can get some valuable experience and some reps in this offense.
Patriots have 2 rookie guards and a rookie center. The rookie center's been starting 1st and 10. Brady stands tall. Down he goes as he is sacked with the Roy Miller at the bottom of the. That's the 2nd sack on Brady. Roy Miller was right there. Also a nice hit from Chris Smith. See, this is what would make me nervous with a guy like Brady getting hits like this late in the game.
Yeah, but that's
football.
That's the decision you make. You're going to leave him out there, and you trust he can protect himself. But yeah, you don't want to see this. And again, he knows better than to throw it away. You see, Smith comes right underneath Sebastian Vollmer. He's there, as you point out, Kevin. Roy Miller.
2nd down, 15. White bouncing, chased by Clemens, chased by Sample, and out of bounds he goes. That is a gain of 5.
When you think about Jacksonville, it really starts with their defensive line. It's where they have a lot of their money tied up. Clemens and Odrick came over in free agency, and Alu, and you think about Derek Marks when he comes back from the knee injury, and Andre Branch, another guy that's nicked. Roll, keep rolling them through there and trying to keep them fresh. On the field way too much. They're trying to rush Brady.
3rd down and 10. Amendola. He's got blocking, and he's got an entourage to the 11. Andrews helps him up. Dobson, the wide receiver, initially with a good block. Number 17. Watch him knock out Colvin. And he opens the door for Amendola.
And look at that offensive line get out in front of him. You see David Andrews get out there. Vollmer gets out there. The backside guard gets a cut block.
12-yard pass right there to Amendola. 5 catches for Amendola. 4 have been on third down. First and 10. Brady, Blunt, and hit by James Sample. Gain of 2. Tell me about this rookie center. Well, he's making headlines here because he's been consistent, and the coach loves David Andrews out of Georgia.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time visiting with him. Actually, Mike Lombardi, one of their personnel guys, and Bill Belichick went down to Georgia in the offseason and spent a lot of time with him, getting to know him. They talked about how poised he was, good level-headed approach. They kind of put him up at the board, kind of grinded him a little bit, and they just really felt he was a smart player, played in the SEC, and would be a good fit here in their offense.
Second down 8. It's through the hands of Dobson with the coverage by McCray. By the way, Georgia takes on Alabama this coming week on CBS Saturday afternoon. That'll be a terrific SEC game.
It will be a great game. And, a lot of good players come from the SEC, but, David Andrews, Kevin, it's amazing to think that you get a free agent rookie walk in here with this football team, the defending world champions, and now he's starting. And you talk about being strong down the middle, be experienced down the middle. You got a rookie center. You think about how many different centers Tom Brady has had the last.
A ton.
He's had a lot. I think he's had like 7 in the last half dozen years or so. So they keep changing up the centers, but what better way to learn than from a quarterback like Tom Brady?
14th play of the drive. Chandler bobbled it, reels it in. As Lesney meets him, he's close to a first down, lunging to the 2. 14th play of the drive right there. Chandler takes it deep.
A little under route from, you love big targets, guys that are 6'5", 6'6", in Chandler's case, 6'7", and hard to miss him when you look at that catching radius. I think this is going to be it for Brady. I think this will be his last series, Kevin. Look at they brought.
How about Brady, Rich? He's thrown for 824 yards in the last 2 weeks.
That was a good season for me when I was in Oakland.
First and goal. Mason, the rookie offensive lineman. Oh, there goes a flag. As Blunt was in there, we got an offensive player in motion.
Full start, number 60, offense, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
You were just talking about Andrews, and
I just watched the replay. I don't think it was the center.
Yeah, he seems to think it is. Of course, he's only there because Brian Stork is concussed, the starter, and Wendell is out, the backup, with an illness.
Who knows? Might be a Wally Pipp situation, Kevin.
Might be.
These guys might not get their job back. He's really done a terrific job.
First and goal at the 6. 21 new players on this roster for the Patriots this season after winning the Super Bowl a year ago. 8-minute drive. First and goal at the 6. Blunt is in. Brady to Blunt. And he'll work his way with a twist down to the 3 and pick up 3. And brought down on the play by Devon House, among others, and Alu. Blunt was let go by Pittsburgh and signed with the Patriots and went to the Super Bowl and starred and got another ring.
A lot of players coming on and off the field. They're just.
You look at all the
4 or 5 came out the play before. Another 4 or 5 coming in this play. Cannon in the game.
Cannon will be an interior player. Tight ends are in. 3rd and goal. 16th play. Make it 2nd and goal. At the 3, Blunt. Wrapped up by Scuda. Gain of 2. Dan Scuda came as a free agent after a couple of years starting with San Francisco. 55, and like the intensity he brings to this defense of the Jaguars.
You look at Bill Belichick there, and it really is a team that starts with the head coach. They do a wonderful job ignoring other people's opinions, whether it's the media and analysts, agents, advisors, family members, friends, fans. They ignore all of them on matters of football because, as coach says, they don't know what they're talking about. And he does a terrific job being honest with the team and pointing out that despite even last week's win, there's still plenty that they can get corrected. And that's why this team doesn't come out a day like today and play flat.
3rd and goal at the 1. And it's another touchdown run by Blunt as he bulldozes his way from a yard away. 3 touchdowns by Blunt. And the lead expands for the New England Patriots. scoring on all 9 possessions today.
This is why you have a big, powerful back like LeGarrette Blount. Big, physical, 6'4", 240-pound back that can move piles down and close.
He only had 2 carries coming in to this afternoon. He told you he suspended game 1 against Pittsburgh. Gostkowski with the extra point. 51-10. 3.5 to go in the 4th in Foxborough. Back in April, the Patriots celebrated the month of the military child with Football for You, a free one-day football clinic at Joint Base Cape Cod. Over 150 participants did warm-ups before they were divided into various football-themed stations. Think about all the men and women that serve overseas and protect our freedom. How about their families who go through so much? The absence is a tough thing to go through, in the NFL very engaged in that effort. That's a good fan right there. Celtics on top, Pats on the bottom.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Find your agent at statefarm.com. And by Under Armour. Rule yourself. I will.
Well, they're beginning to hit the aisles and exits here on this gorgeous autumn afternoon in Foxborough, Massachusetts. 3 LeGarrette Blount 1-yard touchdown runs, 2 Brady touchdown passes. Lewis had a touchdown run of 8. First drive of the game. Field goals by Gostkowski. 3 of them. 1st and 10. To the kickoff. Blake Bortles. Is that tipped?
It was tipped, but it was not intercepted.
It's not intercepted by Logan Ryan. Incomplete pass. These are the adjustments you talked about at halftime going into the second half.
Yeah, Jacksonville not really able to run the ball much in the second half. Certainly the score had a lot to do with that, Kevin, and they weren't able to do anything defensively. New England scored on every possession in the second half. Offensively, Brady kept slinging it. How about these numbers for today? 33 of 42, 358. He hit on 12 of his last 13 attempts, and really kind of a one-sided game after the first quarter.
Bortles with the 2nd and 10, going deep and looking for his receiver, Robinson. Wow. Coleman, along with Harmon, were there. Allen Robinson, the 22-year-old wide receiver, with a first down and a catch to the 45.
I really like this player, Kevin.
I do too.
He's a deep threat. I mean, I love the fact how he goes and attacks the ball. He's always high pointing the ball in the air. Great leaps. He's their big play threat.
He had 8 starts as a rookie. Then he had a foot injury when it was shelved last year. Got him a number of receptions. 1st and 10 for Blake Bortles, who is deep in search and finds Pierce, who's brought down by Jonathan Freeney on a gain of 6 to the 47. Make it to the 37, excuse me.
Well, Jacksonville's got to get healthy, Kevin. A lot of injuries of players that didn't play today. It's tough when you're without.
It is.
Luke Jokel, your starting left tackle. Linders, you mentioned, didn't practice much this week. He was forced into playing early. Cyprian, Branch, Julius Thomas, and Derek Marks.
Derek Marks, that's right. Here's a 2nd and 4. Here's Robinson. He dances his way on the sideline. Finally hit by Mayo. It's a 20-yard reception. He's down to the 17-yard line of New England. Robinson's had catches of 36 and 20 on this drive, and Robinson for the day, 4 catches, 68 yards. Hearns had a 59-yard touchdown reception with a couple broken tackles along the way. Long pass by Bortles as we've reached the 2-minute warning. New England is going to be at 3-0 with a bye coming up. 2-minute warning. The familiar music of Thursday Night Football. It all starts right here on CBS, where the Pittsburgh Steelers tough it out with Joe Flacco and the Ravens. It's on CBS and NFL Network, and will Ben Roethlisberger play? He was carted off the field today. Big news there. 1st and 10. Bortles, and looking for Harbor with the coverage by their 2nd-round pick, Jordan Richards, for the Patriots. Incomplete.
They're still having a difficult time getting these tight ends involved in the offense. Talked about that coming into today's game. Not a single catch. Harbor had one earlier, but about NFL tight ends have accounted for 36 tight ends coming into this game, and it's the most in NFL history, and yet collectively, Jacksonville didn't have a single reception from their tight ends.
Blake Bortles for second down and 10. In the middle he goes. Harbor is there, hit initially.
There we go.
By Logan Ryan. It is a gain of 11 and a first down.
Well, they got some tight ends they like. You know, I think Clay Harbor is a guy that was in Philly, and of course Julius Thomas when he gets healthy, Kevin, from Denver, and Mercedes Lewis is a big guy. He's been to a Pro Bowl before. Got some tight ends. They just haven't been able to get him involved in the game.
Bortles first and goal at the 6. What a catch. That was a terrific stab right there by Clay Harbor. 6-yard touchdown reception. The former Eagle waved and picked up a couple years ago by the Jaguars. Good throw, Ted. Had some serious gas on it.
Yeah, right down the middle of the field. I like it. Talked about designing some plays. This is a good throw by Blake Bortles between the linebacker and the safety, and terrific concentration by the tight end Clay Harbor, knowing that he's going to take a big hit. Sometimes you don't need to see a hit, you can just listen.
Harbor didn't have any receptions in the first 2 games, so he's gotten 3, including a 6-yard touchdown reception right there. With the extra point put up and in by Jason Myers out of Marist. 1:22 to play here in Foxborough. Coming up next, the Chicago Bears will take on the Seahawks, or the Bills will battle the Dolphins. You're on your home for Super Bowl 50, CBS Sports. Seahawks have lost 3 straight games dating back to Super Bowl 49. And in each game, they have given up a fourth-quarter lead. Brady warming up still to have one final stab at it.
I mean, if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't get in today, will he ever get in? I mean, you're up 51-17.
Well, let's see if it's
Maybe it is.
Let's see if it's an onside kick here by Jason Myers. So far in the NFL, the best stat man in the business, Pat McGrath, tells me 0 for 10 through almost 3 weekends in the league so far in onside kick attempts.
And if you're Garoppolo, do you even want to go in at this point? Kevin hand the ball off a couple times.
I read an interesting thing
garbage
about,
time.
Yeah, I know. I read an interesting thing about Garoppolo. You know, he's a scout team quarterback, so he's got to always mimic the opposing quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, let me get past this kickoff, and we'll talk about Garoppolo, who many people thought would be the starter for the first 4 games of the year. Well, everybody except the people here in Foxborough and in the New England area. That'll be out of the end zone. But Garoppolo said some kind of, I think Mike Reese wrote this locally here. He covers the Patriots and is one of the best writers in the country. But he was talking about Garoppolo, and he was, as Jimmy's going to come in, he says, every week when I'm mimicking these other quarterbacks, I try to take one thing from them and implement it in my game because I study them so thoroughly.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a talented player. The problem is he never get a chance to play. Although, Kevin, you and I did the preseason game against the Packers. He started and played a lot. And, because of, Brady's situation with the league, he got a chance to play quite a bit in the preseason and take a lot of reps in training camp, which was good for the young quarterback.
Well, he's going to go to a knee here. Brady has thrown for 824 yards the last 2 games. He threw 3 touchdowns, make it 2 touchdowns today. Touchdown passes number 400 and 401. He's one of 4 quarterbacks in the history of the game to hit that mark. And he will take his team to a 3-0 record into the bye. This is the earliest the league will have their teams start the bye this year. Tennessee also has a bye.
Well, Brady's all about production and consistency, Kevin. You think back, not many clunkers from him. Very rare that you pick up the paper on Monday morning and see Brady throw a couple picks and the Patriots lose by 2 scores. It just doesn't happen.
He mistake-free.
Yeah, really, just amazing. Look at this in the regular season. No interceptions in his last 153 pass attempts going back to week 16 of the 2014 season against the Jets.
Bill Belichick with another win. And Tom Brady with another win. He's won more games as a starting quarterback with one franchise than any other. Past Brett Favre not too long ago. The final score is in 51-17. the reigning champion Patriots. Coming up next, Game 2 of the NFL on CBS doubleheader. Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Foxborough. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Now it's time for the NFL Today update, presented by FanDuel, as we take you to our CBS studios in New York. And here's James Brown.